As we head into the holiday season, a time filled with family gatherings and meaningful conversations, we want to share some expert tips and strategies for socializing and communicating effectively with loved ones. Whether it's navigating sensitive topics or making your voice heard, this information will help you approach the holidays with confidence. So joining me now is Michelle Gladieux, who is a communications coach and author of Communicate with Courage. Good morning, Michelle.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes. Okay. Well, we are definitely in the holiday season. This in a couple of days we have Thanksgiving, and then of course the big Christmas holiday. And this time of year, people really do come together most to be with their family. Mm-hmm. And so through your studying and really becoming an author and focusing on the topic of communication, what have you learned most about how people communicate with their family?
I've learned that it is sort of a fraught journey, that there is no family that's perfect. Mm-hmm. There is no human that's a perfect communicator. And I think that we do best when we're willing to accept that we all show up at that table with strengths and weaknesses. And while we can be aware of our own, we may not be dining or spending time with those who are aware of their strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
So grace is always a good way to go. Mm-hmm. Grace with oneself and grace with others. Mm-hmm. I talk to a lot of audiences and teams about how no one human is more valuable or more correct necessarily than any other, but we all adhere to our own belief systems, of course. So the temptation when you're around family, first of all, they're not paying you to hang out with them, like the people at work. Or, you're being paid to be in the workplace. Yeah. I think the most important thing to remember might be have some grace and remember that you cannot control others' behavior, but you can be, I think of it as almost a dance, 50% of the quality of that communication, that's on you. The other 50% is on the person that you are sending and receiving messages with. We can't control what happens there, but we can set some boundaries for ourselves and some goals for ourselves. So I would hope that all our listeners, the audience today, thinks about what they want to get out of those holiday gatherings, maybe a simple intention such as, I want to really, be where my feet are, is something I've been thinking about. Not be thinking about the past, not be thinking about the future, but be thinking about how every day is a gift. And I don't know how long I have these people around me. So whether they are our favorites or our least favorite family member or friend, find a way to appreciate something about them, and that situation might go a little bit easier.
Right.
At the same time, we all need boundaries. So if someone isn't being respectful to you, it is very valuable to know what you will accept and won't accept in others' behaviors, and be willing to even gently say something like, you know what, I don't want to go there right now. I just want to enjoy the meal and enjoy being together. We could talk about that later, though. Yeah. If you have some time in the next week or two, maybe we could talk about that. Yeah. And isn't this cranberry relish delicious? How about the art of changing the subject sometimes as well?
So the topic of communication is something that's so fascinating to me. It's something that I studied in school. And so I love diving into just the strategy and just really understanding how to approach specifically the holiday season. I think that one thing is so important is by lowering expectation, because sometimes people go in and they're wanting something more than what the other person can really give them, right? And so I love what you said about grace, because if you already just accept the fact that you're going to go with the flow and not allow for chaos to, overwhelm the communication, I think that provides for a successful time with family. And so something that I found interesting in your book, you really highlighted on 4 things about being the best communicator, which is hiding, defining, rationalizing, and settling. So share with me what those areas really, maybe just a little synopsis of each of those areas.
Just a little touch. Okay, these are 4 challenges that I call the hidden challenges, because it seems like most of my loved ones and clients and teammates and myself, we have them sort of in peripheral vision. And I wrote the book to try to help people turn and go ahead and look at some of the things that might be obstacles in their path to being a great communicator. One of them is hiding from risk, and that's when we're afraid to let others see our feelings, our vulnerabilities, or our weaknesses, when it might be beneficial to us to come clean on that. Yeah. Maybe it's, that hurt my feelings when you said that. Let's drop the subject. Wow, that's actually very brave. Another is settling for good enough, and that's when we accept C+ communication from ourselves when we know we could do a little bit better. Maybe it is time for us to change the subject for someone else, get them out of a situation where you see they're uncomfortable, or raise your voice, use your voice, not yell, but pull upon your courage and use your voice so that you can enforce some healthy boundaries. Another is, so we have settling for good enough, hiding from risk, and another is defining to be right. Defining to be right. So those folks, I mean, it's us sometimes, and it's everyone else sometimes. It's being so darn sure that everything you believe is correct. And I don't think that can be possible, and it also makes you very unapproachable. So those were a couple of the hidden challenges that I delve into in the book. I tried to keep it pretty short. It's 140 pages. I didn't give many chapters, much more than 10 pages, but I hope folks will pick it up because I've kind of I've filled it with pro moves, and those pro moves are things folks can do that are just a hair beyond what the average bear would take on, but it can really relate to joy and success in relationships.
Absolutely. And so talking about that, so the Communicate with Courage, beautiful book here. And what I loved is, like you said, there are many messages in it. So you can open up at any point and just kind of get an understanding. You touch on each area. There's so many areas of communication, right? But some of them, like understanding, personality as a growth tool, or understanding that attitude counts, or fear can be a friend. And you just kind of have each of these little thinking spots. And so what made you want to write this book?
I thought about it for a long time, and I worked on it for 5 years, and I've been loving working with audiences of 15 to 1,500 for the last 20 years. But now that I have known those thousands of coaching clients, and I see some similarities among all these diverse humans, I wanted to reach a larger audience, so I felt that it was time. I had Elizabeth Gilbert, the writer, she says, write about what's causing a revolution in your heart. And I see people limited from success and joy in relationships at work and in their personal lives because no one has taken the time to point out that all of us have potential to be a great communicator. So I'm pointing that out, and I'm calling out what I see as the obstacles.
Absolutely. And of course, before I let you go, the biggest topic that people are contemplating discussing right now is the heavy topic of politics and whether or not to bring it up at family gatherings, or and I've even seen people discuss, like, if you have different political views, maybe you shouldn't meet with that family over the holidays. And I think that's personally ridiculous because it's like, be around people.
It's not ideal.
Right. Be around people. Like you said, life is limited. You don't have to discuss the things that you disagree with, or you can, but just enjoy each other's company. It's not about what a person's political belief is. It's about the person that they are and just valuing that time, right?
Ideal, yes. And I've said to family members, I think you and I are, in fact, pulling our information from such different sources that I believe what I'm reading and hearing, and you believe what you're reading and hearing, and we're probably not going to change each other's minds, but I value this time with you. So state your intention. I value being around you. I don't want to have an argument. Can we change the subject?
Right.
And remembering that we are equally valuable and trying to treat people that way. I mean, this sounds easy, and it's not. And simple stuff like taking a breath. I've noticed that when I get upset, my breathing becomes very shallow. But if I need to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go to the bathroom, maybe take a couple deep breaths, remind myself this is a few hours out of my life, and I can certainly come back and then interact with as much grace as possible. I try. I'm not on your show because I'm great at this.
Well, listen, thank you so much, Michelle, for chatting. We'll need to have you back and go in deeper on some of these really important topics, because communication really is number one. So thank you. Communicate with Courage can be found everywhere you get your books. So we'll have their website listed below, and I'll see you after the break.